Management wants to know how much we have sold to each customer, but our sales data contains inconsistent customer names. So for example, the same customer could appear with different capitalization or formatting, and we took care of these issues in week 1. So please watch that video. Now this company already maintains a customer master containing the official customer information. And our job as an analyst is to use that master data to make the sales data more reliable. So in week 2, we introduce an important Power Query concept, and that's called merging queries. We'll use the customer ID as a reliable key to connect our sales transactions, which is what you see here, and to our customer master file. So the important concept is this: don't try to fix unreliable customer names one by one. Use a reliable key to retrieve the official information. And we're going to use the customer ID for that. Now we're going to bring in the customer master that the company uses to maintain its information. So let's go up to data from text CSV, and we're going to choose our file. It's customer master CSV. Let's import it. Okay, this is the file here, and let's click Transform Data. And this is our data as it's imported. Now, our first step here is you could see that our first row here contains our column headers. So Power Query needs customer ID, which is what you see here, to be an actual column name because we're eventually going to use it to match the customer master to our sales data. So before we merge anything, we're going to verify customer ID exists in both queries. So let's first promote the first row as headers. So you go to Home tab, use first rows as headers. Okay, now we got that. Okay, now we got the headers working for us. Now, like I said, we need to see that customer ID exists in both queries. So right now we're in a customer master query. Let's go over to the sales clean query that we did last week, and let's verify we also have customer ID here. So that's okay. We also must match on the same data type, and they should be text. And as you can see here by the ABC icon, that is referring to text. So that's correct here. Now let's go back to customer master query. Same thing, customer ID, data type is of type text. So the important of this is because Power Query needs the two columns that have compatible data types when we merge them. So now we're going to perform the actual merge query step. So let's go over here, select the sales clean table, go to Home tab, over here to the right, merge queries, and we want to add the customer information directly into the sales clean query. That's why we did a merge queries instead of a merge queries as new. So the top table is the sales clean query that we just selected, and the bottom table is going to be our customer master. Okay, so we must match on identical columns here. So we do up here, select customer ID. Down below the bottom table, customer ID. and we're going to select the left outer join right here. What does that mean? It keeps every sales transaction and brings in customer master information when there is a matching customer ID. So our sales query has 15,000 rows, and we don't want to merge to accidentally remove sales transactions simply because a customer isn't found in the master file. So left outer join preserves the sales data and attempts to find the corresponding customer information that's exactly what we want for a transaction data set. Okay, so if you look at the bottom here, it says the selection matches 15,000 or 15,000 rows from the first table. What does that mean? That means that everything in the customer master table matches with an existing customer ID in a sales clean table. So let's click OK here. Okay, now as you can see, it added a new column called Customer Master. And what we now want to do is expand this. But let's go, don't click the table here, click to the right of it. And if you see down here at the bottom, it's a mini table. So this mini table is exactly what matches with our Customer Master file for this Customer ID. So what we want to do is we want to expand this to include this with each row for the sales clean data. And what we want to do is we want to click the expand icon here to the right, and we want to select all columns, and do not select customer ID because we already have customer ID in our sales table. So bringing it in again would just create a duplicate column. So we're going to bring in customer name, customer type, customer master state. We want to uncheck the use original column as prefix. This will give us a clean column names. Now you will notice we have a customer dot one column right here is what we have right here. And this is because we already have a customer name column in the sales clean data. So these highlighted columns here is exactly what was brought in from the customer master table that matches with each row of the sales clean data. So now let's remove the original customer name column. Okay, we don't need the original customer name anymore because we now have an official customer master version, which is this column right here. So let's go over here, let's go over to the right, and let's find customer name right here. We want to right click, remove, okay, and let's rename this applied step so we know what it was, what it is doing. Okay, now let's scroll over to the right here. Okay, so now we can rename this column here just to customer name. Press enter. Okay. Okay, so now we have this column here. So for example, now let's do a verification step. Let's find a customer ID in sales clean table. So let's go over here. Okay, so let's randomly pick an ID. Let's go over here and let's select this one. So select copy. Okay. And what we want to do is we want to verify in the customer master query if it exists. We know it exists if we scroll over to the right here, row 13, we brought in information here. So let's remember this. It should be green services. So let's go over to customer master table and let's do a find text filters equals, okay. So this is the customer ID. We want to see if this equals this. Let's click OK. And it have found it. Okay, so we know that it matches. So let's remove this filter rows. Okay. Okay, so if the customer ID did not exist in the customer master, then that means the expanded fields that we did over here to the right, let's go scroll over here, these would be null. So now with the customer, we're going to remove some unnecessary columns. Now the important question is whether we need both state columns. So we have a state column here, customer master state, and also a state column in the sales clean query. So do we want both of them? For this particular project, we do. The state column in the sales clean query tells us the state associated with the sales transaction, while the customer master state, which is what you see here on the right, tells us the official state maintained in the customer master table. And that gives us an opportunity later on to identify discrepancies. So let's rename this customer master column to official customer state. Okay. So now we're going to continue building this project over the next several weeks, and we'll eventually have multiple supporting queries. So a clean naming convention will make the workbook much easier to understand. So we're going to use sales clean query, okay, over here on the right, our main transaction query, and the customer master is going to be our lookup master query. So let's select this. Let's rename this. Let's get rid of the underscore. Press enter. Okay, that's what we're going to rename it to. And so now our goal is to prove that customer master is now controlling the official customer name rather than the messy sales export. So let's do this. So let's load this information back to Excel. So we're going to do home, close, and load to. This is not grayed out because we just added a new query to Power Query. So it remembers that the first query was loaded as a table. The second query here is going to be a lookup table query. So we're going to load that as a connection only query. So let's go to table. Okay. Actually create connection only. Let's click OK. Okay, and notice these blanks right here. Okay, notice that when we do something here, see what it did here? It cleaned up those blanks. Okay, and it brought in the necessary information. Okay, but let's go a step further and let's go back to the original raw data. Okay, and we're going to deliberately put a bad customer name into the raw sales file, just like we did similarly in our week 1 tutorial. So the difference this time is that we're going to see whether the customer master overrides that bad value. So let's open the sales data, raw data file, which I already got over here. This is a customer master. Let's go to raw data. Okay. And the top row is our column headers. And we're going to go to this particular row, uh, order ID 10,000. So we're right here is we're going to change some information here. Okay. And if we come over here, so notice the name here, custom baking, and this is the what it brought in originally. So now we're going to override this. So let's go back to the text file here, and let's find the customer name right here, which is this. Okay, and we're going to deliberately put a new value in here. So this is going to be gonna deliberately put that. Let's do a file, save. Okay. Now, once we do a refresh, this particular customer name should be that new name because it's reading off the customer. It's gonna go refresh the data, go through the sales clean query table, then it's going to merge that query with the customer master file, and the customer master file is going to be something else, which we're going to change to in a second, and it'll bring in the new customer name over here. So let's now go over to the customer master file, and we're going to find this customer ID in the customer master file. So let's do a find. Go over here, it found it. And now let's go over here and just change this to 43, because right now in that file, save, because right now it's 42. So let's go through these steps. If I hit refresh query, it's going to go through the applied steps in Power Query. It's going to clean up the sales clean data first. Then it's going to merge it with the customer master file and match up with the customer ID in the sales clean query and pull in the new customer name. So let's do a refresh query. And see how it changed it. So we know this query is working now. It's bringing in the correct customer information by going through all those applied steps. And we did it without manually fixing the sales record. When you have a reliable ID, don't try to clean the description manually. Use the ID to retrieve the official information. It's a very practical Power Query skill, and it sets up nicely for our week 3 tutorial. So in week 3, next week, we're going to use another real world business scenario to connect our sales data to our product master table and start building a much more reliable reporting data set. And we're going to continue building on the exact same project week after week. So if you want to learn Power Query by solving real world business problems instead of just watching isolated featured tutorials, subscribe now and follow this entire series. I want to thank you for stopping by today. You have a great day, and I'll catch you next week for the next video in this series. Thank you.